we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
All right, welcome to episode 144 of the Abuse Hour. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to society. So today I want to go over a couple of news items that sort of play into what's going on out there, and I also want to talk about the Google search, the Google Trends phenomenon that I see a lot of people throwing up there. And not that there's nothing to it, but there is some stuff that I want to clear up. Because when I heard this the first time, I was like, I don't know. And I mean, I'll get to it. But then the other things I want to get to, I want to get into, I guess briefly, a little bit on the Nick Fuentes situation and how that kind of parlays into the movement as it is. Because I listened to, there was one that the Gay Mexican had put out a few days ago talking about the Charlie Kirk situation, and more specifically the Candace situation. He's got like this, and whether it's by accident or design, whether this is on purpose or whether this is like you're just making, a fucking distraction. This thing with him and her, it's become catty. It's catty and unsavory, but it does speak to a few other things vis-a-vis our movement and kind of the evolution that's taken, kind of where it started and where it is, and some of the things you could get away with back then that you can't get away with now, but also some of the things where you have latitude now and you have a little more stability now that you didn't have then. So we'll talk about that. And then lastly, I want to talk maybe like a few more thoughts on the idea of breaking contact. And again, I guess, I don't know. I think like a lot of these things, it's hard to say like, look, here's a basic concept and then get progressively more detailed or progressively, more specific or advanced or any of this. I think a lot of this is more like a spider web where you got to just like look at this one piece and try to understand it and how does it play into the rest of this. So we'll look at like another piece of that. Yeah. So starting off, man, I think some of the things that need to get hit on, some of the things that I want to hit on real quick. First, this Bondi Beach shootout with these Muslims taking shots at a Jewish Hanukkah celebration in Bondi Beach. And I can't remember what city that's outside of. So Aussies, if you can, any details you could offer, I could look it up, but I'm incredibly lazy, amazingly lazy, the laziest. But I haven't looked it up. But Bondi Beach, I believe it's on the East Coast. I believe it's on the East Coast of Australia. And they had a Hanukkah celebration there. It was a couple of days ago. And two ethnically Pakistani characters, apparently one of them was born in Aussie and the other one was not, but both of Pakistani extraction. So one, Naveed Akram, and his father, Sajid Akram, both got out here with some bolt-action rifles and started shooting at Hanukkah celebrators that were out here at this beach. So as it played out, there's about, I'm seeing as at this point, what I'm seeing is 16 dead. I don't know how many injured, probably more than that injured. Not counting the ones that are making up being injured, but we'll get to that. So at least 16 dead, several injured, and the younger one, Naveed Akram, was taken into custody, and his father, Sajid Akram, was killed at the location. So there were some rumors immediately swirling, talking about the idea that this guy had served in the IDF. And I mean, I saw like a proper news story. I saw a few proper news stories. Again, this was something I didn't go to a news site. It was like a clip that I saw. So I did not know for sure. I looked it up this morning, and I don't know what's being put out. I'll say that. What's being put out is that this dude did not serve in the IDF. So there was some talk that this Naveed Akram had served in the IDF, and it came back and went off his rocker or whatever, and now this happens. But apparently everything that is getting put out is that it is fake and gay. It's not true. It's misinformation. It's inaccurate. It's I don't know what's the word. A white supremacist screed. That's got to be one of my favorites. But no, they're saying it's not true that this dude did not serve in the IDF. Honestly, whether he did or didn't, I don't give a shit. It doesn't much fucking matter. What I will say is that there's some video of this guy cranking off with this bolt action. It looks like he spent a little time on this. It does look like he spent a little time on this. So both of these characters allegedly having at some point pledged bunny ears allegiance to ISIS, which I find interesting because why does ISIS, like ISIS is what, this guy attacking something in the West? Why does ISIS never attack Israel? Can anybody help me with this? ISIS never attacks Israel. They only attack like Syria or somebody in Iraq or this kind of thing. Or a suicide bomb at some, city center. They don't attack Israel. It's crazy, but I digress. Anyway, so this happened, and they've got the younger guy rolled up. They've got his dad. His dad is dead, I guess. And then you've got, I mean, you can't put a price on this. They've got video of some guy, Arsen Ostrovsky, as though it matters, right? Arsen Ostrovsky, who is a Australian-Israeli human rights lawyer and also is the chairman of the Australian-Israeli Jewish Affairs Committee. So this guy, according to him, I just moved back to Australia. How do you do like a Jewish Australian? I think that's a bridge too far. I'm not going to try. But according to him, had just moved back to Australia 2 weeks ago to combat anti-Semitism. And he was actually at October 7th, the poor unfortunate soul. But now he comes back home, and now he's at Bondi Beach, and this happens. And he says that he got some kind of, I don't know, grazed in the head by one of these rounds fired by one of these anti-Semitic extremists. And he, luckily for him, got his phone out just in time to take a selfie of how injured he is. There is a photo circulating of him being doctored up at like a makeup station. It's kind of back and forth on whether this is AI generated or not. I don't know. I don't care. I think this entire fucking thing is fake as fuck, is what I think. I think this Ostrovsky guy, I think this is absolute fucking bullshit, and I'll tell you why. So if you've ever seen a head injury, like head injuries bleed like a motherfucker, right? Because there's a lot of there's a lot of blood vessels, like superficial blood vessels, and your skin is a little bit thinner, and it's right over the top of your fucking skull. So that's a lot of blood moving around there, and if you nick it, I mean, if you've ever shaved, like when you're shaving or something and you get a little nick, and like this will take all day to patch up, right? Because there's a lot of blood vessels, from the neck up. So if you ever seen like a head injury, like this shit bleeds like a motherfucker. So it could be, not too bad, but it can become, it can make a hell of a mess, yeah? But what you see with this guy, his story is, well, I got grazed by a bullet on my head. And, just in time to pull out a fucking phone and get a selfie. But my thing with this is that, you look at this picture of this guy, he's got blood all over his head and face, and then blood all over his arm. There's no blood on his shirt. I'm like, what the fuck is this, dude? What is this bullshit? And you could say that's like some kind of small thing, or crazy things happen. Yeah, dude, crazy things happen. Crazy things always happen. But with these people, it's always it's always something, man. It's always some kind of craziness of, oh, wow, look at a crazy thing that is totally unusual. It's possible. Are you saying it's impossible? Is that what you're saying? Dude, come on, man. So this guy's story is that he got grazed by some bullet, and then, not enough to really cave his head in or nothing, and not enough that, like, I'm going to have to get looked at. I got fucked up pretty bad. Not enough to kill him, not enough to really fuck him up, but bad enough that he's got blood literally all over his face. But then again, not enough that it gets onto his shirt in any kind of an appreciable way. I will tell you, like, blood will do some wacky things. Like, if you see, like, an injury, like, if you get the shit all over your clothes, it'll turn, like, brown. And you'll see somebody, and you're like, what did you do to your clothes, man? That's blood. It doesn't stay, like, red. Just the same, though, if somebody gets fucked up and they got blood all over them, it'll appear red for a little while. But then, you can have stages of where, like, some of it appears red because it was just there. Some of it's kind of sticky. Some of it's brown and dried or crusted off or some kind of shit. These things happen, right? But what caught my attention with this dude was that the initial picture is he's all red and bloody, like I just got hit and I just put my hand over it or put a shirt over it or whatever the fuck he had, a hat or something. And then I took a picture, which is weird enough, right? But then in the other pictures, the follow-on pictures where he's still got a bandage, like apparently, the medic or whatever didn't think to clean this guy up at all. But he's got this bandage over his head, but the blood on his arm and his face is still like this very blood red color. And from what I've seen, it don't stay like that, man. It don't really do that. Even if it kind of dries or changes color like in stages, it still does dry and change color. So I look at this guy, I'm like, you're just full of shit, dude. So this guy claiming that, oh yeah, I was at October 7th, bro, and I narrowly escaped with my life, bro. And oh man, now I'm here, bro. Crazy stuff, bro. Oh, I got hit in the head, bro. And where there's one line of shit, especially with these coin clippers, where there's one line of shit, there's sure to be another. There always is. It doesn't stop with just this one guy. So when I look at this, now I got to start asking, like, what's the fucking story here? And you could tell pretty much straight away that something is afoot, dude. Because immediately, this story it's not even 24 hours old, when this stuff is coming out. But already in UK, you're seeing all these stories of, well, these Muslims, they went unstitched and they start shooting at these Jews, at these Hanukkah celebrators, these Hanukkah enjoyers. And, maybe because of what happened with Muslims in Australia, that it's time in the UK for these rallies and protests supporting Palestine to be outlawed. What? What the fuck sense does this make? But that's what they're going with, dude. They're like, yeah, this has gone too far. It's stirring up hate. It's stirring up anti-Semitism. So, this kind of thing, this is what happens, bro. When people start doing this, people get excited, and then this happens. And I gotta ask a couple questions. Like, at first is like, okay, well, on one hand, you could try to make this argument, dude, that maybe Muslims are unreasonable. But in this case, are they not wrong? When you look at fucking Palestine and the level of fucking carnage, and I ain't Mr. Muslim fucking enjoyer by a stretch, but when you look at this, are they not maybe onto a little bit of something that, like, yeah, this is pretty fucked up, dude. I could see where a person would be pissed off. I could kind of see that. I'd be pissed off too. I'm not even related to any of those people, and it pisses me off seeing what these tiny hats get away with. The other part of that is, why are all these Muslims in any of these countries in the first fucking place? Never mind that, like, you come over here or come over there, or go to any Western country, go to any country in Europe, go to Australia, and immediately they're pissed off about, oh, I want this, I want Sharia law, I want it to be more like things were in Pakistan. Then go back to fucking Pakistan. Don't come here. But instead we got to deal with that shit. Like, how can we accommodate these pains in the ass? So when you compound that between these Muslims who want to turn the whole world into Pakistan, and then these Hebrews who, by this guy's own admission, I came here 2 weeks ago to help combat anti-Semitism. I mean, what the hell is that, dude? You heard about somebody on the other side of the world might not like you, so your immediate priority is to move there and start pushing for laws that make them not liking you a crime. I mean, what is that, dude? Who acts like that? I mean, you don't see me trying to go to Pakistan or me trying to go to wherever they don't like coffee and like, hey, I heard you don't like coffee. I heard there's some anti-coffee sentiment. I need to have some governmental influence around here. You know what you need is more angry white men. And then, that's going to change things around here. And that's what this place needs is some change. Yeah, so that's what I'm here for. Who would act like that? We don't act like that. But we're still the ones that they'll point the finger at and say, you're a supremacist. So this whole thing, I think, is kind of indicative of how idiotic things have gotten. But on the plus side, I think people are also calling it out for how idiotic it is, which is both a bit of a relief, but it's also like, why does this have to even be necessary? Like, why do we have to live like this? Why do we have to split time between, like, Muslims who want to blow things up and kill people and these tiny hats who want to control how you feel about everything? Like, oh, you don't like that? Well, now you're in trouble. Like, man, what is this, dude? So this is where we are, man. And, not really excited about it. We shouldn't have to live like this, but, I repeat myself. Anyway, the next thing I wanted to hit on here was this Google Trends thing. So I've noticed it. You've probably seen it somewhere as well, where some of these things happen. And look, man, well, I don't know. Let me preface this by saying that we deserve a better class of Hebrew, right? We deserve a better class of Zioterror, whereby, you don't know if you're coming or going. They're running things smooth. They've got it all wired. You're always 2 steps behind, and you never had a chance. They're running the show, and that's why things happen the way they do. I realize, obviously, just since 9/11, that it's pretty clear that they don't completely have their act together, where it's like airplane hits a building, airplane hits another building, one building falls, the other building falls, and then some whole other building falls down. Like, what the hell happened here? What's this about, right? So this to me is just kind of indicative of like, look, this is, and I think this is, it almost goes to the comparison of your AK and your AR. Like, one is one is an arguably precision machine, doesn't like getting dirty or getting gunk in there, needs to be serviced regularly, but is a very accurate, very precise product. The other one, a little sloppier, takes a little more of a beating, but depending on where you might find yourself, it's going to be, you can rely on it. You can dump concrete in it if you want. It's still going to function. So this is kind of where we're at, I think, on this Hebrew question as far as these gay ops are concerned, because what you see is like, yeah, they did a lot of stuff for a long time, and a lot of it worked real well, a lot of chicanery, a lot of trickery, but now they've got these things where like, oh, bro, we could squeeze a little more out of this. We just do this, this, and this, and look how smooth it is. Oh, they'll never guess. But now you're relying on a more precise instrument, and things get all dicked up, and now you get what you get. So like your 9/11 thing, one building falling down out of nowhere, and then a bunch of people reporting on it before it even happens. That's a monster giveaway to me. I mean, not just that it happened, which, I mean, we can go on this, maybe when September rolls around, but steel structure buildings don't just fall down. They certainly don't collapse inward. Not like that. It's never happened before. No matter how long they burn, if you drop a bunch of stuff on, well, parts of the aircraft hit it, parts of the other building hit it. Okay, still, why did it fall straight down? Doesn't make any fucking sense. That in and of itself is dicked up. But to report on it before it happened, like, hey, here's something that's never happened before. Look, it's happening right now. And then it happens a little while later. Like, dude, this is gratuitous, fucking gratuitous. So a lot of this stuff, it's kind of the same thing where you want to run these really smooth ops, but you're just not quite up to speed to pull it off. And then you got some issues where like what I'm talking about with this Google Trends thing, whereby they've got this situation where these things happen and then people go on Google Trends and they'll say, all right, let's see what kind of searches people were doing. And they were looking for this guy or that guy or that place or that, well, like with the Charlie Kirk thing, looking for this specific university or looking for Tyler Robinson. And then they'll get on the Google Trends thing and they'll type it in there and let's look at Israel. Like who was searching for Tyler Robinson in Israel? And it'll pop up and it'll say like 8. And they're like, well, who the fuck was searching for Tyler Robinson 8 times in Tel Aviv, Israel? That's crazy. So I had to watch a bunch of videos about this to try to get my head around like, all right, what exactly is happening here? How does this work, dude? Because if it is, there's probably a lot more we can do with this. On one hand, I want to say, my first thought would be like, okay, yeah, they're goofy and they don't always have their shit together, but they are still a competent professional intelligence service. They could screw up once, they screw up twice. They're not, they'll make mistakes, but it probably won't be the same one again. So when I look at this now and I see again and again and like, look, see, somebody in Israel is searching for this. Somebody in D.C. was searching for this. Like, okay, well, let's dig into it, man. So I get into a little bit, try to figure out what the hell's going on. So I watch a bunch of videos on this, dude, and essentially the way that this appears to work, and I ain't no math genius, I ain't no statistics genius, I'm definitely not your computer guy, but as I am understanding it, looking at this stuff, all right, what I'm taking away from this is what they're saying to you is that when you do like a search, and now it's going to, pop up on Google Trends, what they're showing you on Google Trends is not the amount of, it says point blank, this is not the amount of searches that are happening for this thing. So, whatever, man, steak and whiskey, like somebody who's Google searching steak and whiskey, does steak go well with whiskey? Who's searching for this? How many times? You put it in there and it's going to go anywhere between 8 and 100. And that number is like the rating of how many people are searching for that. Like how popular is this search? So 100 is like, yes, people are searching the fuck out of this. So if you type in like Donald Trump or something, it's going to pop like, now you say, fucking what, DC or Venezuela. They're asking about Donald Trump in Venezuela. Is Donald Trump going to bomb Venezuela? Okay, when you search like that, you're going to get 100. That doesn't mean 100 people searched. And they're not going to tell you that a certain amount of people searched. And they're not going to narrow it down super, super tight to any given location. And they tell you that they're, well, whatever. They say that they're trying to some degree, protect the metadata of the people doing the searching so that you can't say like, oh, I see that somebody in D.C. searched for exactly this phrase, right? They're trying to protect some level of privacy. So they say. Anyway. So what you can take away here is kind of like when you search for, like if you search your own name and say your name's Joe Blow, you search your own name and it's going to be like maybe Joe Blow is number 1 and it's your Facebook profile and your LinkedIn profile, Joe Blow. And here's you and there's a picture of you. But now here's also like Jane Blow. And that's not exactly what I asked for, but it's sort of similar. And then there's going to be, Jonathan Blow and Jonathan Blau. How about James Blau? So each of these gets a rating and it'll be, 100 is Joe Blow. That's you. And, you're exactly what you were looking for. Yeah, there was somebody that searched exactly that. And that was a popular search. Okay. It was a popular search a lot of times on whatever the fuck day. Okay. But then, when you've got sloppier stuff, maybe somebody looks for like Joe Blau. Maybe somebody looks for Jane Blow. Maybe, any of these things. Sort of they were looking for. They were looking for something similar. So when you see this thing of like Tyler Robinson, 8 searches in Israel, that's not what they're telling you, is what I'm taking away from this. That's not what they're telling you. They're telling you that like, yeah, there were searches for something sort of similar to this, not exactly this, but I don't know if that helps you at all, this kind of thing. So I did this, man, and I looked at like, Coffee Long, and this is what freaked me out, is why I had to watch the videos, because I looked and it's like Coffee Long, like 40, 50 in Tel Aviv, Israel. I'm like, holy shit. Now I'm concerned, right? So I got to look at it. But now after I look at it and I come to understand it a little bit, now I can figure out that, like, no, nobody's searching for me. Maybe, like, how long do I have to let coffee sit? Or how long is coffee good for after you open it? Or, this kind of thing. So, yeah, they're sort of searching for what you were talking about, but not exactly. I don't know, maybe adjust your phrasing or something. Because it don't completely, like, speak your language. It's doing the best it can, most likely. I mean, I'm as much inclined as anybody to say that, like, yeah, these Google clowns, they're all in on it. And if you watch the videos attached to this stuff, it's all Hebrews, dude. It's all, absolute, the coiningest, clippingest, kvetchingest, hand-rubbingest, foreskin enthusiasts that you ever seen in your life. That's the people that are helping you out with the with this topic on the Google Trends thing. I mean, they're Jewish as fuck. But nonetheless, though, the fact kind of remains, if you put out a shit product, if you put out a totally skewed product, people won't use it. You might still get paid through some kind of government angle, but nobody needs that kind of thing. So anyway, that was just kind of my thought. And I've seen a few deals where there was like a guy that was like, I'm Mr. Computer Guy, and he's showing you this stuff. But I'm like, yeah, you're telling me like 8 searches, 20 searches. It's not telling you that that's how many. Otherwise, what they're showing you is like the most searches there could be is 100. Because look at the fucking scale on the thing. It says 100 at the top. It never says more than that. So where it does say 100, that could be like somebody's like, bang, spot on. Somebody was searching for exactly this. We won't say exactly where, exactly who, or exactly how often. But this is, yeah, somebody did search. People are searching for that. So there's that. Make sense? Not me neither. Anyway, so I wanted to get a few thoughts out about kind of the direction of the movement and some things to be aware of, and really based on some of this stuff that I see coming out of gay Mexican Nick Fuentes. And dude, after hearing some of the stuff that he put out a few days ago about the Charlie Kirk situation and about the Israel situation and just kind of in general, dude, I am, well, that and the number of just high profile interviews that this guy has done. This guy is everywhere. This guy's being mentioned in Congress. Never mind that they're saying, like, he's a bad guy. Don't give him any attention. Oh, we don't like him. We don't like him. Let's talk about him in Congress. Yeah, okay. Again, we deserve a better class of Hebrew. We deserve a better class of Zioterror. Anyway, so this dude the other day now, he starts in talking about the Candace thing like he does, and he moves into the Charlie Kirk thing. And then he starts talking about all the people that are saying that he's bought off, that he's a Fed, and he eventually just lands on, you're all fucking idiots, you don't know shit, if you don't agree with me, then, and says point blank, fuck you. Fuck you if you don't agree with me, you don't know shit, you're getting wrapped around the axle about some stupid shit that doesn't make any fucking sense, fuck you, fuck off. So some of that stuff I wanted to revisit, but moreover, the stuff I wanted to revisit was in light of kind of the direction of the movement as a whole. Because when he gets done with that, he starts in on Andrew Anglin, who, again, if you've looked at Daily Stormer at all, like the dude has had a tough go. He started a good few years back, dude. I want to say, man, probably 2015, 2014, like a long time ago. Anyway, so Fuentes starts in on him talking about, yeah, we used to talk all the time, and he would try to get me to confide in him, and like he'd tell me that, like, yeah, bro, like you could tell me, your secrets and stuff, and yeah, I bet you guys didn't know that Andrew Anglin's dad is a real estate guy, and he actually sold a house to J.D. Vance, a long time ago, because they're both from fucking Ohio, I guess, right? So yeah, I bet you didn't know that, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So, on one hand, you're telling me that, like, yeah, Andrew Anglin was saying X, Y, and Z and telling you that, oh, I can keep a secret, you can confide in me. Okay, but I'd never seen or heard of Andrew Anglin even mentioning conversations with you. So apparently he can keep a secret. It's actually you that's running your dick holster. But looking more over at this thing, man, and this is where I kind of wanted to get into the direction and the vibe of the movement, of how it's kind of shaking out. Like way back in the day, dude, like one of my inroads to this thing was when I was still active. I saw a news story about like this little folk music thing that was happening called Prussian Blue. And it was basically these two, I don't know where they were from, maybe like Tennessee or some kind of thing, but it was these two little blonde girls, nice looking girls. And I think their folks were doing like the guitar thing or something. And they had like the old school happy face, you know, the yellow smiley happy face. And they had like t-shirts, but it had the happy face, but then it had like the Hitler comb over and the little mustache, right? The small mustache. And I saw a news story about it. And this was like way back in the day when you still had like internet at work and you could just get on it. Like this was before any of the craziness. What was that guy? Like the tranny that, downloaded a bunch of stuff and was putting it out, and like WikiLeaks and that. And I saw the news story and I was like, what the hell is this, dude? Because at the time I was still like fully like normie, patriotard, like just absolute Kool-Aid drinker. And I look at it, I'm like, what the fuck is this, dude? Like, who's so fucked up they would do this to their kids, man? And on one hand, too, I would say that, like, the environment the way that it is, I don't know that this is a thing that kids need to be dumped into the middle of. Like, you got to introduce this stuff slowly. Like, you know, let them be innocent. Let them be fucking kids for a little while, yeah? Before you start talking about National Socialism and why people want to see them erased in this, let them be kids for a while. Anyway, so I'm looking at the news story. I'm like, what the fuck is this? But it made these early mistakes of mentioning, like, yeah, here's some of the stuff they were listening to, and here's some of the sites that their parents are reading, and this is where they get some of these crazy ideas. And one of the websites that they were looking at was this deal called Newsnet 14. So I'll post in the chat, dude. Like I gotta find this video, but it's the 12 Days of Christmas thing. And it's that deal where it's like they go around to ghetto pigeons and they hand them like the lyrics on a page and they get them to sing. They're like, on the third day of Christmas, my true don't get to me. And it's ghetto delicious. But in the corner of that video, it says like NN14 and it's got like a little bolt or some kind of shit. But that's from Newsnet 14. So that's where this was originally posted, like way back in the day. So I had started looking at that. So it's mentioned this in this article. So I looked at it, and I looked at it at work, like a fuck up, right? And this actually led to like all of the unclassed computers getting shut down for the day. And they're like, yes, somebody, and they couldn't trace who apparently, or they just didn't say anything. But they're like, yeah, somebody was looking at some like Nazi website or something, so we had to shut this down for the day. And I'm like, holy fuck, dude, are you serious? So that was like my first indication that something's not right. Like, this is not just some wazoo shit that like, look at this crazy shit. It's not like flat earth shit. Like, go look at flat earth. Nobody gives a fuck. Go crazy, right? It's crazy. It's not feasible, but nobody's going to stop you. Nobody cares, right? So they do this thing, and I was like, holy shit, dude. That was like my first inkling that some shit was a little weird. You know, there's some weird shit around this. So from there, I'd look at it regularly on my own time. And from there, it sort of connected to this other deal that was called Incogman. And this was a website that had these, like those pictures that are like cut and paste of like multiple pictures. And then it'll have like the eyes all crazy, lasers and shit, and like a big Star of David on the forehead type thing. Like really bad fever dream looking art, you know, but he would have this on every story. And then it would like, the stories would just be like rants, and some of it would go off in the weeds. And then there was like an advertising deal with Newsnet 14 in this. And it was very 1.0, man. It was like very ham fisted, like just a little bit crazy, but it was still like, you'd see it and you're like, there's still a little something here. There's something to this, you know, when you read it, you're like, it's nutty, but it's not completely nutty. So there's a kernel of truth in here. Something's going on, you know? So from there, this was how I kind of found my way on to the Daily Stormer. And I couldn't tell you, you know, to save my life, what exact route that was, but I found the Daily Stormer. And at the time it was like he describes, man. It was, like a little anime girl, like bolts and shit, and like, yeah, white pride, whatever, you know, but it was very corny. It wasn't serious. Like, it didn't take itself serious at all. And it was still a lot, even then, when the guy was writing like prolifically, his vibe was always like, this is just so dicked. Like, you're not voting your way out of this, man. This is so crazy. Like, look how crazy this shit is. And a lot of his articles would even take the tone of like, yeah, dude, Muslim rape gangs, these are great for the economy. We need more Muslim rape gangs. Where can we get them? What we need is a program to screen for rape-inclined Pakistanis, although that would probably include the entire population. But hey, if that's the case, why not bring the entire population? Ship them all to England. Maybe you could just give them like Ireland, and that could be like your rape outsourcing boot camp, or like he would just go like really hard, like over the top like this. A lot of his stuff was like this. So this was just like his vibe, right? And dude, I could say that I was commenting on Daily Stormer like way back when they still had discuss, right? Like you could still comment using discuss on Daily Stormer. And dude, there was one dude that would always get in there and like in before everybody. Like, I don't know who it was or how they did it or what the fuck, man. But it was like you could be sitting there and like doing an article pops up, and you would get on and read it. And by the time you got to the bottom, whoever this dude was, I think his name was like In Before UK or something, and that dude would be in there writing like first, in before, whatever, and you're like, whatever. It was just a nuance of the site, dude. It was just something that happened. But yeah, dude, then like shit got hectic, and it was like I like to think back to times when we were so innocent that we thought that like, hey man, we'll get all the permits, we'll keep everything above board, we let you guys have your rallies, we're going to go to Charlottesville and have our own rally, and we're just going to try to mend some fences and get on the same page, and you know, like, hey, we're gonna make things better, dude. Things are going to be good. Like, were we ever so young and stupid? Like, come on, man. But things like that, things like the January 6th thing of like getting sucked into that lobster trap. I guess Andrew Anglin and Fuentes mentioned this guy Weave that was his tech guy, because after like when things started getting shut down, Daily Stormer started getting a lot of DDoS attacks and then got deplatformed. So basically this guy bounced from like domain to domain to domain to domain. And this guy Weave was this engineering dude who is apparently ethnically Jewish, but never made any bones about it. And Andrew Anglin was like, look, man, if you take this shit, if you take the fucking Daily Stormer so seriously that you don't want to read it because I got this guy who's ethnically Jewish who says he's willing to help me out, unfuck it, then best of luck to you. See you later, whatever. I don't know any of these people personally. Obviously, I'd rather not have a Hebrew anywhere, but again, it ain't my fucking website. And I did like the guy's writing, and to the extent that he still writes something once in a while, I did enjoy it. But there was something in Whitefish, what was it, Whitefish, Montana, some shit like that, where Richard Spencer's mom had gotten approached by some Jewish real estate chick and said, hey, you know, your asshole son, your Nazi son was at this Charlottesville thing, and, you know, I think it would go a long way towards healing in the Jewish community if you sold me your property, some expensive piece of property in Whitefish, Montana, at a deep, deep discount. So obviously she's like, no, I'm not selling you my fucking property. So, you know, the Jewish harassment commences, the news stories come out, the media coverage comes out, the constant naming and shaming comes out. And Andrew Anglin then at the time, like, and the guy he had written shit, he had podcasts going, and he's like, hey, I got an idea. Why don't we play the same game? We'll have an all-Nazi march through Whitefish, Montana. And at the time, like now, we would know, like, dude, do not fucking do that. Do not think that. They will fucking lock you up. We are not on a level playing field. They will shit away to incarcerate you. Don't do this, right? We know that now. Nobody knew it then. So at the time then, people actually went and did it. And I don't know how, it was probably something really fucking small. I don't recall how big the event was, but it was fucking small. Like a handful of people walking through Whitefish, Montana, maybe, you know, flying like a fucking Third Reich flag or some kind of shit, but a very, you know, a small fucking to-do. Anyway, this broad sues Andrew Anglin for whatever Jewish people sue people for, harassment, discomfort, kvetching, not enough coin clippings, whatever, sues him, gets a $4 million settlement, and Andrew Anglin bails out of the country. And this is as I understand it. You know, I don't know these people personally. This is as I understand the story. So he's out of the fucking country and continues to kind of lumber along with his website. But I mean, you got to appreciate, like, at one point, this dude was on the cover of like Newsweek magazine as like the new face of hate. And the dude is legit. Like, I've never said I hated anybody. Read my fucking website. It's all bullshit. And all of this shit stemmed from that fat bitch Heather Heyer at the Charlottesville thing having a heart attack at the side of the road after some other Antifa dude apparently stepped out and pointed a rifle at James Fields as he was driving out of town. And this whole shit got fucking wacky. They chased the guy beating on his car. He backed over a bunch of people and then got sentenced to 400 years in fucking prison. Madness, dude. But that's been kind of the evolution of this thing. And since then, there's been a lot, and this is what I'm getting at partly, is that since all of these things like Charlottesville, things like January 6th, things like all of the court dealings where some people will mysteriously get a free pass, like a lot of people said, Mike Enoch got, yeah, you were at fucking Charlottesville. How did you get out of this? Like, you got out of this completely clean. And he tells the story that, like, well, dude, I just got my nose in the books and I made it so lawyerly impossible for them to pursue me that they had to give it up. Is that true? Is it not true? I don't fucking know. Dudes like Nick Fuentes, where you're seeing that, like, yeah, here's a picture of this guy. Here's a picture of this guy at the January 6th thing, but this guy never got touched. Like, his name never came up. What's that about? Then there's dudes like Richard Spencer. Like, yeah, you were at Charlottesville. Yeah, you were at the center of a lot of this stuff, but you didn't really get rolled up. You got harassed a little bit. Guy got punched in public, but then somehow all of this evaded him, and he just kind of disappeared. But now resurfaces to do interviews with Nick Fuentes, and his name's coming up again. So it kind of raises the question of, do these people have something kind of going? You know, are they in the pocket a little bit? Are they kind of a controlled opposition of like, all right, you're going to go out there, you're going to say a few things. Here are the things you're going to avoid. You're not going to talk about this. You're only going to talk about that. And in return, we're never going to prosecute you for this shit. Fair enough. Is that happening? I don't fucking know. I'm saying it's a definite possibility, though. And the other thing that I find conspicuous is the constant homosexual presence. Yes, because, and I mean, maybe this is normal. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never had much in the way of encounter with a gay scene, let alone a gay scene that's supposed to be very non-degenerate and pro-nationalist and pro-racialist, but somehow there's this gay flavor. Yeah, where you got your Nick Fuentes, you got your fucking Catboy, you got your fucking Milo, you got your fucking Richard Spencer. And the flavor is always there, but the question never gets asked. Like, what exactly is it with these dudes? These dudes don't seem quite straight. You know what I mean? Milo, obviously, gay dude. Like, this is obvious and silly. But I mean, like, your Nick Fuentes says, oh, I'd like to get married, I'd like to have kids. But every time you get accused of being gay, the guy never says anything. It's conspicuous to me. Anyway, what I'm getting at here is, like, as opposed to the early days when a lot of this was like, it was just fuck around time, and then a lot of it became like, hey, you can say what you want, you can have some opinions, but as long as you don't cross these lines, you're going to be all right, and we can just let it fucking be. And then it became like some people get sucked into the vortex, but then they magically respawn, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing here? And then they're talking to you about, yeah, you know, Hitler's actually a pretty bad guy. And, you know, hey, it's not all Jews, bro. And, you know, like, wait, what? What the fuck's going on over here? So it kind of raises the question of, who do you trust? And I'll tell you what my position is on this. And you have your own position, knock yourself out. I look at this thing a lot like intelligence work. A lot like you would look at a gang. The idea here being that this is a very, very difficult organization to get into. It's trust that's very, very difficult to earn, very difficult to maintain, but very, very easy to lose. So what I'm talking about is when you hear somebody say, hey, you know, I don't want to say too much to you, dude. You might be a Fed. Or, hey, dude, why don't you just stop with the fake name? Like, why do you have to always be Coffee? Why don't you just be who you are? Because I don't trust you motherfuckers. And you shouldn't trust me. Don't tell me your fucking real name. Because if you're telling me, who the fuck else are you telling? And if you're telling somebody else your real name, you might be telling them my real name. Even if I do trust you, I probably don't trust them. Might be somebody I don't even fucking know. So this is what I'm talking about, man. Like, you got to always consider. And dude, if you don't dig this, then maybe this isn't something that you need to be a part of. Maybe you should just go, yeah, I'll fucking play it as it comes out, man. I don't want to take any risks. I don't want that kind of heat. That's okay, dude. That is all right. Just don't be here. But the thing is, dude, like, you never know who is going to get compromised, and you never know what somebody is going to be willing to give up. You don't know what somebody's breaking point is. How do you know, like, maybe some guy is in a spot where, like, he's really financially fucked up. Maybe he's got a kid that's in trouble or some shit like this. His kid got caught, I don't know, in possession of something, in possession of ecstasy or some shit. And he's staring at time, dude. And this guy, your guy, is like, he's never done anything fucking wrong. And I'm not talking about me here, by the way, so don't get fucking clever. But, your guy has never done anything wrong. He's a straight fucking arrow, but now he's got this kid. Family first, dude. And if they say, hey, all's we're saying is if somebody talks about, hey, I could see going kinetic on this or that, or is something, says anything sketchy, anything at all, you just tell us who they are, and we'll fucking just keep an eye on them. And if they're going to do something crazy, then, you'll be the one that's the hero. This is how snitches get made, dude. Once you start down that road, then it becomes like, okay, I also want you to look at this. I also want you to look at this. Like, dude, my experience dealing with informants overseas, like, the best rule of thumb I ever got was actually from an agency guy. And this guy tells me, like, look, dude, they're all going to say they don't want to do it. They're all going to say that, I'm not a fucking rat. I'm not a traitor. I'm not this. I'm not that. It doesn't matter what the fuck they say. As long as the rat keeps running through the maze, that's all you fucking want. And it doesn't matter if you got to use cheese or money or fear or threats or what fucking ever. Like, ideally, you don't want to use threats. You want to use, like, you want them to be ideologically driven, which for us, obviously, is usually going to be impossible. Like, you're not going to see somebody that gets into this thing and then is like, yeah, you know what? I actually changed my mind. I think this whole idea is crazy. Everybody just picks on the tiny hats for no reason. You guys are nuts, right? You don't really see that. If somebody gets pushed up against it, though, and like, yeah, you or somebody in your family or something really bad's going to happen, or, like your Nick Fuentes, dude, like, obviously this guy's thumb screw is right fucking there, man. Like, this guy wants to be famous. This guy wants to be rich. He's put the time and the effort in, and he is fucking going whole hog, dude. Like, this guy is shilling for fucking tiny hats. Big time. So what I'm getting at here is that always be cautious, dude. If somebody is looking at you and like, look, dude, I don't want to say too much, dude, because I don't know, you might be a Fed. You might be compromised in some way. That's perfectly respectable. It does not matter. It's a compliment, dude. It's a compliment that someone, when they talk to you, they're willing to pay attention to what they're saying so as to not put you in a spot. They're not going to put you in a spot to have to protect the information that you're dumbassedly giving to them. And two, you're not putting anybody else in a spot where if this person turns out to be compromised, turns out to be over a barrel some kind of way, that now other people are compromised because you couldn't keep your fucking mouth shut, right? Because you don't know, like, it might not even be like an active collection thing where they're like, yeah, go in there and ask about this, and this. Maybe they're like, hey, just put this recorder on you. And dude, recorders, it ain't like in the fucking movies where it's some big fucking Mr. Microphone taped to your chest, dude. It's the stuff they've got now, it's small, dude. It's like stick of gum small, and it'll last. It'll last longer than your juicy fruit. So you just got that on. You could be inside a pack of smokes. It could be in a phone, probably. It could be any fucking thing, man. And it's just sitting there recording, and that guy is hoping maybe he doesn't want to be in that spot, and he's hoping like, dude, don't say anything fucked up around me. Don't say please, just don't fucking say anything. But then if it's your dumb ass and you're like, talking out of your ass, like just completely Minecraft posting, like going fucking nuts. And the guy's like, God damn it, dude, they're going to take all this shit. They're going to take it 1,000% serious. You're going to be the fucking Gretchen Whitmer fucking deal, where it's like a bunch of guys have no money, no car, no weapons, no training, no plan, no nothing. But then one Fed gets in there and is like, he gets everybody fucked up, and then is like, hey, we should go kidnap the governor. And everybody's like, what? Doing what? Yeah, I got a plan. We're going to do it. You cool with it? Oh, yeah, whatever, man. Haha, now you're all going to prison. What the fuck, dude? You know, who the fuck is kidding who? Those people got fucking banged up on that. So this Charlie Kirk situation, man, I wanted to hit a little more on this because the Nick Fuentes brought this shit up and immediately deflected responsibility. Like, no, fucking Israel couldn't have nothing to do with this. And his argument was that, one, this is only getting put out because Candace Owens is stupid. Like, that's okay. Well, I don't give a shit about that. What about not Candace Owens? Do you got anything else? Then he gets on to the deal of the 30-06. And again, I'll tell you, dude, yeah, bullets can do some wacky shit. I saw one where a dude I know got shot through the eye and it blew out the back of his head, but it did some kind of thing where it went into his eyeball and then like skirted around the inside of his skull and didn't do anything to his brain, nothing appreciable anyway, and then blew out the back of his skull, and the dude was still functional, like got up and walked away. Like he's lost a step or two, but he definitely ain't dead. He definitely don't look like somebody that got shot in the head with 7.62. Other shit, I've seen the same shit happen with helmets where a dude gets shot in the head, but he's got a helmet on, and it does the same shit to the helmet, like zing, like does this little zing around thing. All kinds of shit like this can happen. But the thing is, I guess, about this is that it is energy and it has to go some fucking where. So when you're talking about this, in Fuentes, the gay Mexican's argument is that, well, what are you, a ballistics expert? Dude, even ballistics experts will argue in circles about some shit like this. But the one thing that dudes will not argue in circles about is that energy has to go somewhere. That is a big fucking bullet. A neck ain't that fucking big. Something that dudes will tell you is that in some ways, like it's better to get, if you're going to get shot, if you get shot somewhere like your forearm or something, sometimes there will be less tissue damage because that shock wave, like what's happening is that bullet is essentially pushing air in front of it. Yeah, so all of that energy is going into whatever gets hit by that fucking thing, and then all that energy has to go somewhere, right? So when you're pushing all of that into a small space really fucking fast, it pressurizes like, but it keeps on pushing, so it has to go some fucking where, right? So whether that's blowing out the back, blowing out downwards, so that's why some dudes will say, like, if you get shot like in the calf or in the forearm, sometimes you'll be able to make like, it won't be quite as bad, you know, not just because you're not going to bleed as much, but because of that, what they call temporary cavitation isn't destroying so much tissue. So if you get shot like in the upper leg, it might, like the bullet path itself might not hit a major blood vessel, but that temporary cavitation, all that pressure, that energy will just like, boom, like just vaporize everything. So it will destroy your blood vessels and you will bleed out because it's a bigger space and all that pressure is moving through so much flesh, so much tissue. So this thing with Charlie Kirk getting shot in the neck now, you could make the argument that, yeah, it's like smaller than your torso, smaller than your thigh. When it hits him, maybe all of that energy, you know, it doesn't destroy, it destroys the blood vessels, but then the bullet itself, you know, it just stops, dude. This is where I start having issues with this, is that big fucking bullet, one, has to go someplace, all right? So like in the case of my friend gets shot in the head, it did go someplace. It went out the back of his head, right? You get hit in the helmet, yeah, it does the same thing. It zips around, but again, like between your helmet and your head, there's not tissue to resist that pressure. Right? So that pressure isn't becoming an issue. This situation with this guy's neck, and this is a big goddamn bullet, dude. So you get hit, presumably, right, with a 30-06, because this is what the story is. You get hit with this thing. Okay, let's play make-believe that somehow this thing hit and tumbled, or maybe it hit something else first and tumbled, and it hit his neck sideways and then hit his vertebrae. That energy still has to go some fucking place. So if you're going to try to tell me that, like, if this was like some kind of round that disintegrated and maybe it hit and splashed downwards, that's still a lot of fucking energy, dude. And I have a really hard time imagining a way where a bullet pushing that much energy is not going to come out someplace. That's a lot of fucking energy. 2, the fact that you're just kind of like bang and then spurt. Yeah, okay, what is that? Dude, this should have been like legit, like pink mist, dude. This should have been ugly and fucked up. Everybody that talks about this, everybody that has done any shooting, all the fucking guys testing this shit, talk about like, yeah, dude, if this happened, it's a 1 in a trillion chance that it didn't explode his fucking head or neck. Because if it fucking breaks apart, right, and part of it goes into his head, that's still all that energy pushing straight up into your fucking skull, dude. Something bad's going to happen. Yeah? If it's going towards the other side of your neck, like where's the lowest path of resistance? Probably just, a few inches away out the side of your neck, not down through all that flesh, not up through all that brain. So all these people talking about it, they got, somewhere got Rob O'Neill on talking about it, and then started talking like, you're an anti-Semite. And he's like, dude, I didn't say anything about that. All I said is like, this is how bullets usually behave, and I don't know what this is supposed to be. It sounds like somebody else is responsible, but it begs the question, who could, who would, who benefits? Who could make up this bullshit story? Who would, as in who has a history of pulling this shit? And then who would benefit out of coming up with something like this? The list gets short fast. All right, so yeah, probably fucking Israel. But when you listen to Nick Fuentes talking about this thing, and the best argument this guy can come up with is, fuck you, you're stupid. You're just fucking stupid. Bro, you're making the argument for everybody else. Like, it looks really dodgy now, where somehow you're getting all these high-profile interviews. You're pulling Richard Spencer back into the mix. You're being mentioned in Congress. And somehow the thing that's blazingly obvious to anybody with any fucking experience is that, like, something doesn't fucking smell right about what's going on here. Something ain't quite right. I feel like I'm not getting a whole story. And that doesn't necessarily even mean Israel, right? But when I'm not getting a whole story, and it's all of Israel's primary agents saying, no, shut up, you're stupid, well, then what am I left to fucking believe, dude? And when Nick Fuentes throws his hat in with those people, and the best argument he can make is, no, you're stupid. Okay, well, you're doing the work for us, man. And like I said, I think the mindset has got to become that it's going to be very, very difficult to gain our trust, but very easy to lose it. And right now, like, that dude's not doing a whole hell of a lot to keep anybody's trust. The guy's diming people out. The guy's talking out of his ass. The guy's making weak sauce fucking arguments. And your only argument is what? Fuck you, pay me $100 or you can't be in my fucking group chat. Okay, I don't want to be in your fucking group chat anyway. Fuck that, right? All right, so the last thing I want to hit on is some more ideas, some more thoughts on breaking contact. Before I do that, I want to do the some of the admin type, shout-out type stuff. First, quick shout-out to Above Time Coffee. They don't pay me, I just shill because it's a white product made by white people. You can get yours at AboveTimeCoffee.com. Put it in a cup, put it in your mouth. It's for you. Good stuff. Second, this lower tier podcast is available anywhere shoddy product is sold. Your Apple, your Spotify. Even got it on YouTube for some reason still. But the real action is on Telegram at t.me/theabusehour. And you can use that to get to the associated chat, which is a pretty good time. If you dig that scene and you want to become part of the Abuse Hour Goon Squad, then you can buy me a coffee, buy coffee a coffee at the link associated at the bottom there. So with that, yeah, we'll wrap up on some more thoughts on breaking contact, and then we'll get down the road. So thoughts on breaking contact. I think people immediately think of this kind of thing as like, yeah, what if I'm getting shot at right now, dude? I think there's a lot of real estate between you getting shot at and just some deals where you got to get away. So looking at some ways that a person could end up needing to break contact, I guess, is where we ought to start. And that could be anything from just some kind of dox to somebody puts your name out there, all the way up to somebody that you don't want giving a knock at your door to just ask you some questions. It could be anything all the way up to that. And then beyond that, where you're the victim of a hostile confrontation and you got to haul ass. So kind of looking immediately, like the easiest way to break contact is to not have to be in that position anyway, like leaving yourself lots of fucking room and making it harder to find you or less worth somebody's while than it is to just go find somebody else to fuck with. So with that, I would encourage you to really try to minimize your online signature. Like if somebody wants to find you, they're going to find you. But what you want is to make that difficult, like make them have to fucking work for it. That does two things. One, that makes it so like just somebody that's out to fuck around, like, some Antifa fuck stick, they want to just go fuck with somebody. Man, if it's going to take the rest of their natural life, they're going to probably end up leaving you alone, and that's going to be the end of it. Go hassle somebody else. Go hassle some low-hanging fruit. But more importantly, what this tells you is that if somebody does find you and somebody wants to fuck with you, you know that this is not like some random accident. This is not convenient for them. These people hunted you down. They'd put in a lot of work so they could find you. Now they found you. You can readily assume that this is not a friendly visit. You can readily assume that like, oh, you put your back into this. You really want to fuck around. All right, let's proceed from that premise. And you can kind of skip by all of the like, what can I do for you? Come on, guys. Let's just know you guys are going to be like this. I mean, like this thing I saw the other day, I don't remember even what the name of the guy's thing is. It's like women commentary or woman supporter or some kind of thing. He's got this account. And he's like a Southern dude. And he's got a little mustache. And you can't tell anything about the guy just looking at him. But, he hands out. He's our guy. He puts out some takes and gives some commentary and this kind of thing. But I just saw last night there was a video of that guy. I guess he's in New York at the whatever, like Young Republican something or other. And it looks like he's pretty liquored up, but he's not a tall dude, man. He's a short dude. He's not a very big dude. And he says something to some fat dude, like some presumably fat bar mitzvah enjoyer. And he says something to this guy, and this fat dude just like paws him across the side of his head. And he's like, shut the fuck up. Bang, just like smacks the guy in the side of his head. And, he's not a big dude. He just kind of has to do the smart thing and cut away and retreat. And there's like security dudes. I don't know if they're proper cops standing right there. But just watching this shit go down. If there's cops, I don't know what the fuck that's about, right? But the other part of that was like, what the fuck is this shit with, with your friends, dude? Your friends ain't all short dudes. How are you not beating the shit out of this guy? I mean, that's a fucking green light. Guy just comes up and smacks you in the fucking mouth. You should fucking cut loose, dude. Give the guy a taste. But they don't. They give him a free pass, let it slide, and they just kind of cruise away. But that kind of thing, man, when somebody rolls up and like, yeah, they're making contact with you, man. Like this is not a positive experience. They're putting the wood to you. You got your choices in. You could stick around and fight it out. Like that guy, an event like that, I mean, some of these could be like a snap judgment kind of a thing. Something like this guy, he's doing that shit because that's a small dude. He outweighs a guy by a good 100, 120 pounds and figures like, yeah, I'll just fucking paw this guy. He's too liquored up. He ain't going to do shit. And then I'm down the road and I can fucking flex like a cool guy. So he just does this shit. And then, he's right. Nobody does nothing. Other situations, it might be something like the little soul brother tactic, of like, hey, man, what's up, man? And he's going to come up here and put his arms around you and fuck around and wait on his boys to sneak up behind you, and then shit's going to pick up. So a situation like this, some guy comes up and gives you a little touch, a little shove, a little something, test the waters, a little probing, yeah, see how you're going to react. In this kind of instance, this is where you would look to break contact. That like, look, this is something, I'm not going to leave this to you to decide, to be cool. I'm going to get the fuck out of here, like immediately. So in this situation, the basic principles of breaking contact is to create distance, put terrain features between you and the assailant, even if it's just something like that like soul brother like no other. Maybe he is fucking with you. Maybe he's just liquored up. Maybe he's just horsing around. Maybe any of this shit. But if you don't want to stay and find out, if you don't want to have to fight three people, then the time might be right. Yeah? Like, yeah, no, fuck this. I'm out. So when this kind of thing happens, the idea here, man, is you can try to leave casually. You can try to leave slowly. Cats like this, man, like a worst case scenario, like your African that wants you to stick around, stay in one place long enough where his boys can get in position and rob you. Kind of the running knowledge here is that this kind of works in stages where they're going to roll up, they're going to decide that you're a likely looking target. And if you see any of these videos, you see this shit where they roll up and there's always like a little bit of probing of like, what's up, dog? What's up? Hey, you fucked up? You fucked up? And as soon as they decide, like this touching, this probing, this feeling, this shoving, this is like a little bit of a test fire to see like, hey, can I just fuck with you? Are you going to be cool with me putting my hands on you? So when it is a situation, like if it was your friend that came up and said like, hey, bro, are you fucked up? And they just had their hand on your shoulder, you'd say, like, no, dude, I'm good. Or no, I am pretty fucked up. I got to get out of here. If something like that with your friend, then no big deal, right? But that's not what this is. So this is the time to be like, hey, don't touch me, motherfucker. Oh, no, shit, man, shit, dog. Then maybe they're going to throw a little bit of a fit, but they're going to also know, like, this guy's not going to go easy, man. You're not going to be able to just grab this guy up. This guy's going to pitch a fucking fit. This guy's going to fucking swing. So maybe we look for somebody else, right? If there is a situation where somebody decides to aggressively put their hands on you, the mistake that I think a lot of white people make is this thing of thinking that you should react proportionally. Like somebody shoves you, they want to shove you, they want to give you a little slap like this guy, this internet guy took. They want to give you a little slap, going to tell you what for. You think that your only way to react is proportionally. Like he's going to give you a little slap. Now you give him a little slap. Maybe you give him a little shove. There you go. Now we're fighting fair or some kind of shit. Dude, fuck that. Once the fucking seal is broken, fucking let it out, dude. All right, this guy's going to put his fucking hands on you. That guy gives you a fucking slap. Go fucking hard, dude, because I'll guarantee you that fat bastard hasn't got 20 seconds in him. You get a good fucking shot on him, he's going to be bent over. He's going to be running for his fucking life. And then where are you, dude? Instead of getting called a bitch everywhere, people are going, God damn, man, that small motherfucker means business. Do not fuck with him. So you just saved yourself a whole lot of ass beatings in the future. Because the next time that guy goes somewhere, what do you think's going to happen? Somebody's going to go right up to him and be like, hey, bitch, zap, fucking smack him. So again, this is kind of bearing in mind that, like, dude, somebody uncracks this fucking thing. Like, you made this thing physical. You are under no obligation to keep it reasonable. Yeah, you fucking attack until the threat is reduced, until the threat is one you can escape, until the threat is negated. If that becomes a weapon situation, then so fucking be it, dude. Where, like, if you're fighting one dude and now his friend jumps in and you're like, fuck, dude, I got some shit I got to handle. So you pull out a blade and you're like, and a good rule of thumb that I heard on this is that weapons are not for showing. Weapons are for feeling. All right? So if you pull the fucking thing out, go to fucking work. All right? None of this like, bro, I'll fucking do it, bro. Bro, you want this, bro? I mean, I made that mistake with some college kids, and, luckily for me, I guess the situation was such that they were liquored up enough. They were all fucked up. But there was 3 or 4 of them, so I'm like, there's not a reason to kill somebody. Could you handle this with less? Yes, I can. So do they just need to be made aware, like, look, dude, you're going down the wrong road here? I would say that's very much the exception to the rule. If you've got some guy putting his hands on you and he's got some friends with him, if it gets that fucking way, dude, there's no reason not to just go, you know what, dude? There's nothing saying that you idiots don't knock me down, knock me out, and start stomping me to death. So let's just get this out of the way now. Here. And now weapons are for feeling, not for looking at. So the last thing that I want to hit on here, and then we'll leave a little more for next time, is the idea that sometimes you got to cut your losses. So something like with something like law enforcement, dude, like you look at something like what goes on in England, right, where you've got your Muslims and they got their machetes and there's 20 of them out there and the cops roll up and they start yelling and beating their own heads and beating on the car and this shit and the cops leave. It might be easy for some people to think that, like, yeah, if I just act fucking nutty, they'll leave and they'll go away. I won't ever have to deal with them. This is not the case. You got to take into consideration, like we're always fucking talking about, we are not on a level playing field, all right? What they're going to do with Muslims is not the same thing they're going to do with you. A white dude going fucking berserk and beating the shit out of some cops, they're going to wheel out the whole fucking world to come get your ass. So sometimes it is going to be better for you to say, okay, man, you win this round, all right? Don't put yourself in a position where you're going to get locked up for 20 fucking years because you got to I got to make a point. It's the principle of the thing. That's African logic, dude. Do not do that. On the other hand, though, it also means that if you're planning to fight this thing later, like say you get snatched up, you get you know what it's like? It's like that guy on Halloween that had the cool SS uniform on. And some chick comes out smacking him, some dude smacks him, and this guy, as I understand it, let both of them have it, fucking zap, zap, and then gets arrested. Oh, you're assaulting people. At this point, my money in that situation is do the proper thing, the reasonable thing here. You could, if there's a few of you, maybe you could fight off the cops, run away. I don't know. Somebody's probably got a copy of your credit card somewhere. You're in a bad fucking spot. They're not going to let this shit just go. They're not going to let a white dude dressed like a Nazi just get away with that shit. So in this situation, use your white man fucking logic. Think it through. Okay, I didn't actually do anything wrong here. All right, I got attacked. I defended myself. I didn't put my hands on these people. They came out into public putting their hands on me. I just defended myself. Do whatever you think you got to do. Understand, in a situation like that, a cop's job is not to fucking unravel the story. A cop's job is just to restore order. And that guy's probably been briefed out the ass on, the dangerous white men, the white supremacist, and this kind of shit. So maybe he's going to fuck with you a little. So fucking what, dude? Try to remember that there are Africans who literally pay their rent by provoking cops into fucking with them. So in a situation like that, and I don't know how it panned out, but in a situation like that, think of it from the African perspective. You've got an employee of some establishment that followed you into public, into the street, after you had not done anything to anyone. You haven't touched anyone. You haven't hit anyone. You haven't done shit. Followed you into public, then assaulted you. Okay, so you're going to be suing probably that person individually, as well as that business where they were employed, because they were acting on behalf of that business, right? If that's some door girl that's like, I'm taking your $20 to come drink for Halloween, but then takes it on herself to assault you because she doesn't like her costume. She's acting on behalf of that business. Now guess what? Now guess where that business is going? Right to fucking court. Now, you could say dude, you talk like a fucking Hebrew, but don't make me live like one and I won't talk like one. You could just leave it fucking be. Let the guy wear his fucking SS outfit, right? Let the guy wear his fucking uniform and everything's everything. But now you got this situation, Captain Save-A-Ho jumps in. He gets popped in his mouth too. Now the cops show up. The smart money, you want to break contact here? You want to get away clean? Dude, think big fucking picture. I would almost wish some shit like this would happen to me where yeah, I got attacked in public by an employee of that fucking place over there. And then by this guy. And then manhandled by this cop. Dude, I'm never going to work another day in my fucking life. But if I start punching cops and fucking running and acting like a fucking slipknot, how bad is this going to get? Right? Because we're not at fucking Thunderdome yet. Not in the U.S. Other countries, maybe. But we're not quite there just yet. So in that sense, when we're talking break contact, think both immediate safety, but also be willing to think long term. Be willing to take a little bit of a beating now and come out way on top later. These are all options that you got to weigh through. But again, this is your decision to make. It's your ass on the line, so, act accordingly. So with that, I'm going to leave you to it. Remember to leave this shit where somebody can find it, because remember, the world needs more people like us. And until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon and keep your neck out of the noose. I've been Coffee. These are my takes.